G'day fellas, and welcome to the review of the English updates for the brand new pup. This pup is going to be available on the 17th of January to play. I'm looking forward to it. Let's take a look at what we've got for the English. As you guys will know, there is a landmark rework that is occurring. So they're going to be looking at all the underused landmarks and trying to work out how to make them better. So let's take a little bit of a look, a little bit of a gander. Abbey of Kings landmark. The Abbey of Kings landmark can now crown a king, a cavalry leader with a lesser version of the Abbey's aura. It costs 150 food and 150 gold. Only one king may be trained at a time, and it heals nearby units out of combat for 2 HP every second. And a note from the developer here. We're gonna try and do each change at the exact, or like, you know, hold on, can I zoom in anymore? No, I can't. Developer note, previously, while it was possible to get a lot of resource value out of the Abbey of Kings, it was often cumbersome in later stages of the game. Now this option to mobilize the Abbey in the form of a king gives players the ability to engage with aggressive strategies while still getting value out of the Abbey. Now the way this is going to work is we're going to go through the entire patch notes, and then I'm going to come back and give you my thoughts on them, just so that if you're only here to read the patch notes and you don't want to go onto Steam, but for some reason your work allows you to log in to YouTube there, then this is for you. Council Hall landmark. Change from producing longbowmen and their technologies to all archery range units and technologies. The developer note saying, while the Council Hall is useful in Feudal Age, its utility later in the game is limited. The option to quickly produce crossbowmen should open the door to more strategies with English in the Castle and Imperial Ages. Fixed an issue where Council Hall hotkeys did not respect archery range key bindings. King's Palace, health increased from 2,500 to 5,000. Fixed an issue where English King's Palace does not respect players' keybinds to the town center correctly. White Tower landmarks now trains units, researches technologies, and builds emplacements 100% faster. Berkshire Palace. Berkshire Palace. It's been so long since I've said it, I forgot. HP increased from 5,000 to 6,500. Effect change from projectiles have plus 50% range and double the amount of base arrows to all projectiles now have 15 tiles of range. Whew. One less range than a trebuchet. Now 15 tiles of range was actually the range that was given to the cannon, the bombard cannon. Yeah, I think it's the cannon emplacement. So this is a massive buff. Arrows from the Berkshire are now incendiary and deal increased damage. Oh my lord. Berkshire Garrison arrow base damage increased from 10 to 12. Berkshire standard arrow base damage increased from 12 to 14. Developer note, we want to create a more compelling choice between the Wynguard Palace. This is actually Palace, not Palance, and the Berkshire Palace. This change makes the Berkshire Palace more effective at locking down a position and more dangerous to fight underneath for the opponent. You know, now that I think about it, does this mean that boiling oil has 15 tiles of range? Could you imagine? They just got guys on top of the Berkshire Palace throwing the oil. Yeah, I don't think so, but it says projectiles, and I suspect that's probably going to exclude oil as a projectile. I mean, I'm sure you could freeze oil and use it as a projectile, but yeah, probably not. Wynguard Palace landmark now produces 4 distinct armies. Wynguard Army. It no longer trains 1 spearman, a men-at-arms, a knight, a longbow, a trebuchet. It now trains 2 spearmen, 2 crossbowmen, and 1 trebuchet. The cost is unchanged. Wynguard Raiders. It still trains 3 horsemen and 3 knights. The cost to train them has been changed from 200 food, 100 gold, and 75 seconds to 650 food, 200 gold, and 20 seconds. Oh, I see what they... Oh, okay. All right, okay. So this one, you can get your trebuchet once every 75 seconds, or you can spam every 20 seconds, dude. How much does this cost? 3 horsemen, 3 knights. So that's 300, 660, and it costs 300 gold and 60 wood. So you're getting a discount of 100 gold and 60 wood. And 10 food, but who's counting? Is it 10 food? Actually, no, it's more. It's way more, because a knight's 140. So it's 420 plus that, so you're 70 food discount. Okay, let's continue. Wynguard Rangers no longer trains 3 crossbowmen and 3 hand cannoneers. Now trains 6 Wynguard Rangers. So that's another new unit. So So I think this is our first new unit. So cost and train, except for, I guess you could also call like the astronomical clock tower's ram a new unit as well, technically, because it's like, and because it's a big boy. But anyway, now train 6 Wynguard Rangers. The cost and train time changed from 200 food and 100 gold to 250 gold. Wait, is it just longbows? But they cost gold now. This one, people aren't going to use this because it costs gold and wood. Why would I want to spend gold and wood? I have infinite food. This is really, really good. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Wynguard Footman. Train 6 Wynguard Footman. Cost 200 food, 500 gold, and takes 60 seconds. And again, why? I don't want to spend 500 gold. I don't want to spend 500 gold. That's too much. I'm saying it right now. Wynguard Raiders is busted. I mean, it's not busted. You guys get the idea, right? Like, it's the equivalent of, this is like 12 stables. That's what's crazy to me, is this is like 12 stables. It takes like 34 seconds to make a knight. And now you're making it in 20 seconds. Throw in on top of that the blacksmith upgrade. Like, this bad boy's insane. Anyway, continue. Keep it together. All right. Okay. Developer note. Previously, the discounted trebuchet overshadowed the other options at the Wynguard. Now each army represents a different opportunity for the English player, the Rangers, and the Footmen of powerful new units. Oh my god, they are powerful new units. Oh my lord. For the late game. Enclosures gold generation time increased from 3.5 seconds to every 5 seconds. Big nerf. Big nerf. That is huge. Fixed a text bug for Network of Castles to report the correct attack speed value from 25% to 20%. Same for Network of Citadels bonus. Text corrected from 50 to 40. And then reduce the values from 20% to 15%, and then reduce the values of Networks of Citadels from 40 to 30. Developer note, Network of Castles and Citadels attack speed bonus is effectively being changed from 2040 to 1530, as the bonus was simply providing too much power. And fixed a bug where English farm influence lingered after nearby mills were destroyed. Okay, after this, it's the French. We're not going to go on that in this video. That'll be in another video. So if you're a French fan, and you just came here to see the patch notes, there you go. Now let's dissect this, because I'm just going to preface this by saying I am so excited by these English changes that it was my plan already to change from China to English, but already, like, I am just like, I'm so giddy. I can't wait to play English. Oh my lord, I can't wait to play English, dude. Okay, where do we even begin? We obviously begin at the Abbey of Kings. You previously known as Abbey of Memes, now known as Abbey of Kings, ladies and gentlemen. What we can know about the cavalry leader. So we know that only one can be trained at a time, and we know that it heals out of combat units. It costs about the same as a knight. It's available in the feudal age. We don't know what its stats are, but my suspicions are that its stats would be very similar to a knight. And you get exactly what I'm getting at right there. So don't for a second think that this is going to be just No, this... As I said, I don't know what the stats are, but I suspect if you're paying this much money for a unique unit that is essentially a hero unit, it's going to be looking pretty decent. Now, this bonus heals nearby out of combat units for 2 health every second. You look at this and you think, okay, when does that really kick in? Because it doesn't really kick in early. It kicks in maybe in Castle Age, maybe with the Knights. Obviously, it can also kick in for Men-at-Arms, but realistically, like, you're not going to be microing back, oh, there's my low-health Men-at-Arms, go back, Johnny, go back, Susan, like, hold on, they're Men-at-Arms, Drongo. Hey, who said you can't call a man Susan? Anyway, he's a bit lazy. You guys get the joke? That's a dad joke. It'll take a while for you guys. Anyway, so I think overall, it will depend on the stats as to what the cavalry leader can do. But I can see a lot of potential in the early feudal age for this to be a raiding unit, the same way the French knight would be from the School of Cavalry. So I don't know what the train time for this could be. It could be like a 90-second train time, right? And then, you know, you're not going to be able to rush the enemy so much with it, but it could still force a response. You're still going to have to force your enemy to make spearmen, in which case well, I guess you're not going for the council hall anymore. So anyway. So I think overall this is an interesting change. I don't think that the bonus here is anything to write home about. Healing nearby out of combat units for 2 HP every second, it doesn't seem that good. If it was healing out of combat units for 2 HP every second, I would be all up in that. I would be like, this is great. This is exactly what English needed. But because it's out of combat, it's just kind of like, meh. Like, we already have an aura that heals nearby units for 1 HP every second. The Vizier point field work gives imams the ability to heal in an AoE 1 health every second, whether the units are in combat or out of combat. And here we've got an entire landmark that only gets out of combat units. So I don't see huge value in this other than early feudal pressure. And in saying that, early feudal pressure isn't really enough just to justify this landmark. Let's move on to the Council Hall, which also gets massive buffs. Not that this landmark needed any more buffs, but I can still guarantee you that, you know, assuming that this unit isn't like an Imperial Knight or an Elite Knight. I just said Imperial Knight, thinking like AoE 3. The reason why is because of the food and gold cost. It's the same as a Cuirassier from the French in Age of Empires 3. So that's why I was thinking that. But Council Hall. So change from producing longbowmen and their techs to all archery range units and technology. So that includes hand cannoneers, but most importantly, that includes crossbows. And that's really the big thing, right? Because we do see a lot of games where the English, they look to age up and they lose very, very shortly after hitting age 3. And there's a couple reasons why. The first one is that upgrades can sometimes take a bit of time to come through, and that's when they get hit. But the other thing is that they die to knights and men-at-arms timing attacks. Knights from the Mongols, men-at-arms from the Holy Roman Empire, most commonly. And now this fixes that problem. This just completely fixes that problem. So my suspicion is that you're probably going to see the English become more of a crossbow civ, obviously, with the Council Hall being able to train them. But I wouldn't be surprised in seeing English move into like crossbow spears. And that's further supported by something like the Wynguard army, which gives you 2 spears, 2 crossbowmen, and the trebuchet. So now you've got like an insanely good comp. So instead of going like longbow knight, which is the most common thing, maybe you're going crossbow spears and mixing in mangonels. There's lots of different options for you, but this is just like, this is such an incredible buff for the English. It really covers their weakness. Their weakness was this early Castle Age, right? Late Castle Age, they're fine because their economy's kicked in. Imperial, that's their strongest. Feudal Age, they're still very strong there, but once we enter the early Castle Age, we're still trying to get online, and this covers that weakness. This was exactly what they needed. I mean, I say what they needed, but that's in a vacuum, right? That's in a vacuum of balance. If we were to look at the power of the civilization over the course of a game, you identify the weak spot, and the weak spot's that early castle, and that's what this fixes. Obviously, English is still very strong. Probably, with these buffs, the strongest civ. Stronger than China. King's Palace landmark. Health increase from 2,500 to 5,000. Good change. It's just a very tanky town center now. So you basically got 2 main town centers. This is a good change, and it means that you can now be a bit more bold with your King's Palace. Often whenever I talk about the King's Palace, I'm like, put this bad boy on the backside. This is a landmark, and it's a town center. But now it's like, well, you can kind of bring it forward and use it a bit more aggressively. Remember that it's going to cost wood to repair this. You don't need to repair it with stone. And of course, it's got extra health on it, so it's like a kind of like a pseudo keep almost. So very nice. I do like that, and I still think King's Palace is going to be the #1 landmark in the Castle Age. You'll probably see it 99.9% of time, unless someone is thinking about a White Tower all-in, which could be possible now because it trains things 100% faster. Now the big thing that's calling to me here is Siege. You think about it from the perspective of like, okay, now that is not what I wanted to open. I don't think there was anything sensitive in there. What have I got? Let's go through it together. My stuff, content creation, League of Legends, my games, Overwatch, Wondershare, company archive, bills, likely strategy, renter cover letter, PDX, because we did actually, we're renting out a new property at the moment, to the landlord, and tax. You know what? Yeah, I think that's fine. I don't think that one needs to be blanked out. We're gonna let that one through. Let's go to Age of Empires 4. Hopefully there was nothing too crazy in there. Gosh. I think I had like dates and stuff. That was about it. I'm blushing right now. I can feel myself. What did I want to talk about? I wanted to talk about, yeah, White Tower. Okay, so if we go into your standard Castle Age thing, you build your White Tower, and now your Siege Workshop, which normally costs 300 wood, you've actually got 2 of them, 600 wood's worth, which is kind of crazy, right? Like maybe you want to go into Springalds. Maybe you're playing up against an Ottoman player or Mangonel. Maybe you're playing up against like a big archer civilization or a big crossbow civ, something like that. Mangonels could be a really good answer for you. So I think that like overall, this is a pretty decent change, and it definitely hits the right angle. It also says researchers text faster. But yeah, I think this is a good buff to the White Tower. Will it make it picked more often than the King's Palace? Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. unless we somehow see English playing like a 3 TC feudal age. Oh, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to know, isn't it? The main issue the White Tower's got is because it is a landmark and it's a keep. So it's very, very difficult for you to justify going out onto the map and making it, because number one, you want to age up right now, okay? And you don't want to walk 20 vills to the middle of nowhere and put down the landmark, because it is a keep, right? Like, you want to put it on gold. You want to put it on, you know, in your enemy's face, something like that. But it's a landmark, right? And so you want to kind of age up quickly at the same time. So you're kind of forced to go defensive with it. And you don't always want to go defensive with a keep. So it's almost like, I would be tempted to say, if you want to make White Tower landmark, make it so that it either builds faster, the actual landmark itself, or it's cheaper. Make it like 20% cheaper. And then that justifies you moving your villages across the map. Because when I take 15 vills and go and put it on a gold, and my enemy spots that, and now all my vills have got to make a decision, because if I cancel the age up, it's just like canceling a it's just like canceling a keep, right? Wrong, because now I've cancelled my age up. So it's very, very dangerous for me to go and do that. Whereas if that was just a keep, it's just a keep. I lose the vills anyway, but now I've also lost the age up as well. On top of that, if your enemy manages to spot that out and you don't cancel it in time, you're now going to be losing a huge amount of resources, because that you're essentially building a keep that costs 1,800 resources. At least it's 1,200, 600 to age up, isn't it? Yeah, so 1,800 resources versus 800. So it's a lot. So it's a very, very risky move to go for a White Tower in anything other than a defensive position. And in a defensive position, playing as the English, the likelihood that you'd go for a White Tower over a King's Palace, it's still pretty small. It's still pretty small. But Berkshire Palace. Health increase from 5,000 to 6,500. Also increased the range of all projectiles to 15. Also increased the damage of also increase the damage. Look, I think this is still fine. Like, these are obviously good buffs, but I still feel like the Wynguard Palace is just going to be amazing. Now, we don't know about the footmen and the rangers. I would suspect it's like it's just a men-at-arms or a longbowman that's slightly different, or like, you know, maybe they make them like physically a bit bigger to represent them as like larger units, so you can tell them apart. That would be cool. Like, increase the scale by like 50% on everything, like your X, Y, and your Z. So they're just like these really big people. Or like if they're longbows, like give them just a larger bow, something like that. I think the longbow's already pretty big. So these guys are very gold heavy, and gold is not something that we've got a lot of as the English in the late game. Obviously we do. I guess this kind of opens up the potential for English trade to be more viable. But especially with enclosures getting nerfed, which we'll talk about more shortly, the fact that you're going to have to be spending a lot of gold on these units is going to not going to leave you much gold for other things as well. It does take 60 seconds, so it's quite a long time. But at the end of the day, it does feel like a lot of investment going into your footmen. By the same token, for the rangers, you're spending wood and gold, which are in the late game. Like, don't get me wrong, in Imperial Age, you've still got lots of resources, so these are good units. People are still going to make them. But at the same time, these are resources that we don't have an excess of. We have an excess of food, which is why Wynguard Raiders, to me, looks so attractive, because you're getting 3 horsemen, 3 knights, and it's costing a lot, largely food. You're also getting a discount. You're not having to spend any wood, and also you're getting a discount of 100 gold, and it comes out in 20 seconds. This is crazy. This is so crazy that it comes out in 20 seconds. I think that might be a mistake. Maybe they meant to say 60 seconds, but if that's genuinely 20 seconds, like, that's wild, dude. That is so wild. You can basically just do a switch. So basically, imagine you're playing as English, okay, and your spearman crossbow for all Castle Age, and then you age up with the Wynguard Palace, and then think about how many units this is, right? 2 minutes later, you've got 18 knights and 18 horsemen. That's insane. That's insane. That is crazy. In 2 minutes, you've switched to 36 cavalry units. Put the elite knights in queue. Elite horseman goes in queue. Boom. Oh my lord, dude. This is the tech switching from this is insane. This has got to be, there's no way this is right. And if it is, well, hello Wynguard Raiders. Because I'm telling you now, it will be a genuine strategy that people do. They will fast imp into Wynguard Palace because it literally becomes the Burgrave Palace of Imperial Age. It's crazy. And then Wynguard Army. So the cost is unchanged and the time it takes is unchanged. And I still think this is probably going to be a staple of your English late game. Obviously, Wynguard Raiders is definitely going to be very, very strong if this is the if this is what it is. But the main reason is just because of the low cost, and also because the fact you get the trebuchet. The trebuchet is 500 wood, 250 gold. I think. Let me double check. Yeah, 500 wood, 250 gold. So you're getting a huge discount here. You're getting a 400 wood discount because the food is free because it comes from farms, and our farms generate our gold. So the food is for free, and it's a 400 food or 400 wood discount, a 50 gold discount. It's a very, very nice. And obviously that's not including the spearmen and the 2 crossbows. But quite honestly, this could just make 1 trebuchet every 75 seconds for this price, and people would still pay it. That's how good it is. So overall, this landmark is still going to be your solid choice in 99% of games. And yeah, I suspect that Wynguard Army together with Wynguard Raiders is going to be the best. Obviously, it depends on like these units. As we don't know the stats, but if these guys are insane, then maybe that's the case as well. But it's not like English needed any more buffs in the late game. That's why they got nerfs. And this is a big change. 3.5 seconds to 5 seconds. You might not think this is a lot, but I assure you that it is. If we were to calculate this over the course of... It's a bit hard because 3.5 seconds is such a weird number. But this is a massive reduction because you think about it, right? 1.5 seconds, it works out almost to be 50%. It's almost like... Or a nerf of 33%. But you're... Take half of what you're doing and then... Sorry, yeah, anyway. It's a big nerf. Let's just say that much. There's a lot less gold being generated now in the late game than was before. Obviously, the same with Network of Citadels. It probably won't be that noticeable. 15 down to 20%. 40 to 30 will be noticeable. And this is definitely a nerf in the right direction. Like English late game, I've been saying it for quite a while. Probably for like even close to a year. Actually, no, I take it back. Ever since bombards were nerfed for Chinese. Remember there was a time where Chinese bombards were like insane? And they would just kill everything. Well, that's when English were still like number 2. Once that happened, that's when English went to number 1. And even back then, I remember like thinking that I remember being like, I think English is better than China because you could kill the bombards with trebs. And people did work that out. But English has been like undisputed late game champion for probably the last 6 months or so. And this takes away some power from them, but they've still got a lot going for them. A huge amount is still going for them. Cheaper farms, faster farms, gold producing farms. The Network of Citadels bonus is obviously still very, very strong. There's just so many good reasons to play English in the late game, and obviously Wynguard Army is another huge aspect of that. So overall, English changes are incredible. I'm very excited, most excited about the changes to the Council Hall landmark. This will change the way that English is played, and I do suspect we will see them move to becoming a... we will probably see a Spearman crossbow civ coming from English. Or that we will see them as a Spearman crossbow civ in the Castle Age. That's what my suspicion... Oh, God, I can't speak. That's my suspicion. Who knows? We might even see like 2 or 3 TC Feudal Age with English, and then like into the White Tower or something like that. I don't know. Maybe not that. But that's the equivalent of 4 archery ranges. I think the White Tower's got some real potential though. Especially like if you can sneak, can you imagine, right? Like you sneak a White Tower near your enemy's base when you're on 90 vils, like you play a really long feudal, 90 vils, you somehow manage to sneak 30 vils to your enemy's base, drop a White Tower, which now produces at 100%, and you immediately just start trebbing down their landmarks. Because it's 100% faster. So now they have to collect the resources to age up, build a siege engineering, or build a siege workshop, get a springald out, and kill your treb. Meanwhile, you've got 7 trebs sitting there just killing them. Hey, I'm calling it right now. You expect to see the White Tower rush or the White Tower fast finish coming through soon. That's going to be, I tell you what, that's going to be an interesting strat, an execution strategy with the White Tower. That's viable as well, especially if you play longbow spear into crossbow spear. Watch out. I'm telling you, man, that's going to be... that actually, I'm excited, man. God, I can't wait to play English, dude. I'm super excited for these changes, guys. I hope you're excited as well. Let me know what you think down below. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can catch the full version of these changes. And a huge shout out to the devs. This is amazing. This is great. This is exactly what the English needed and exactly what nobody else wanted. So anyway, well, not nobody else, but what the other civs didn't want. So... Let's go English. All right. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.